Hello and welcome to the Football Revolution. I'm your host, Gio. It's great to have your company. Some great football, brilliant goals, new signings trying to impress, and questionable officiating. Plenty to talk about, and splitting the workload with me, my co-host, VIG. Hello, mate. How are you?
Howdy, very good. How you going?
Good, mate. You're still enjoying your beautiful parenting leave and the pool and all the other nice stuff that comes with it?
I am, mate. I feel semi-retired. So,
Mate, this will give you a snapshot of what it'll be like in about 30 or 40 years' time when your kids are having to do everything for you.
yeah, it's been too good at the moment. I'm more thinking like 10, 15 years time, putting my feet up. So we'll
Okay.
see how we go.
I like your plan. But when I say questionable officiating, I'm sure we'll touch on this in our revolutionised roundup. There were some decisions that just had everyone scratching their head. Firstly, the two things that made me smile most this weekend as a big football fan were a very high quality Sydney derby with a healthy crowd of over 26,000 fans. And the second, the emotion shown by young Western United striker Noah Botic showed when he scored his first A-League goal. He fell to the ground. He had his hands in his face, and it was just amazing to see a young guy that's worked really hard. I think he's about 22. That finally the hard work and all the sacrifice and effort is starting to pay off. And I know, being a player or even watching my young son come through the ranks, that it is just something that is amazing for a young player.
Yeah, definitely. Look, the derby was another great spectacle. It's the pinnacle of our game here in Australia. The derbies we have, the Sydney Derby, the Melbourne Derby, and it was just a great spectacle. Great football, end-to-end action, both teams going at it, and a great advertisement for the game. And that's the benchmark. That's what we should be striving for week in, week out in our league. So hats off to both teams. Great crowd there, great atmosphere. Looked great on television. If people from around the world are watching that, they're looking at the A League going, "How good's this?" The challenge now is how do we get that consistently on a week-to-week basis across the league, get good crowds in, make it look good, and create a buzz around the product. So hats off to both teams. It was a great game, and young Noah Botic scoring his first A League goal. I think he burst onto the scene, 5, 6 years back in the under-17s World Cup for the Joeys. So he's been around the scene for a little bit now, and great to see him get his first goal, and hopefully many more for him.
Hey, look at you showing off again, pulling all your stats out. But I know the listeners love it, and I enjoy it equally as much. So we'll let you get away with it again as usual. But yeah, look, lots of good stuff. And as I said to you off air, I had 4 kids here, 2 dogs, and my partner, and we were busy as. And I could have found any excuse just to turn the TV off or just say it was too hard, but I just couldn't put the remote down. It was just such a fantastic game. And we'll talk about it a lot more when you cover it in our Revolutionised Roundup. We mentioned last week the national second tier men's competition will be hopefully launching next March. In New South Wales, the MPL is underway. So Sydney Olympic and Sydney United both opened with 2 wins, with Apia and Wollongong also undefeated on 4 points. If you look at the Victorian and South Australian MPL, they start this week, and Queensland MPL kicks off the week after. Whilst in the Football West Premier League, a night series, I believe, Armidale are 3 from 3 in League Group A, whilst Inglewood United FC are the front runner in Group B with the same perfect start to the season. So it looks like there's some of the heavyweights, some of the former NSL big guns, and some of the big clubs flexing their muscle, ready to show that if we do have a second tier competition, we're ready to rumble and we want to be part of it.
Yeah, definitely. Look, there's some big teams out there, and you spoke about Sydney Olympic and Sydney United in New South Wales doing, I think they're back-to-back wins to start the season. So if you're out there and you want to watch a game, get down and support your local team, or get onto MPL TV and watch these games across the weekend in between some A League action. So get out there, support your team, support your local club, support your heritage club that you maybe grew up supporting, and let's make something of this. Let's build on it, and let's get these teams into the second division.
It's going to be hard for you eventually one day when Sydney Olympic are playing in the same competition as Sydney FC, and you're going to have to pick your loyalties, right? And I don't know if you're going to run, if your blood's going to run sky blue or dark or navy blue.
Yeah, look, I'm lucky. I've played for about 30 different MPL teams in New South Wales, so there's a smorgasbord of choice for me. So yeah, but obviously played my junior football at Sydney Olympic, and I remember fondly going back to watch them at Belmore playing the NSL days every weekend. So hopefully, fingers crossed, they get into the second division.
Mate, mentioning the Football West Premier League, so the WA League, a night series, which is obviously a pretty smart move if that is how they're running it, and to take away the weather. So former Football Australia's head of performance, Dr. Craig Duncan, has added his voice to the growing concerns about the welfare of the players in the 35-degree plus conditions. The women kick off some of their games at 1 p.m. and the men are the 3 p.m. starts. So I don't know, is the solution now a night series? Is it making the games 5 o'clock at the earliest or something? But something's got to happen. We've touched on this a few weeks ago, but obviously, some of the big guns now who know more about health and well-being of players and the dangers that it can cause for them are coming out now and saying, hey, enough is enough.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's not a smart idea to go out and exercise and push your body to such extreme limits when it's 35 degrees heat. Like it's borderline stupidity. So the more we can do to protect the players and protect their welfare, the better, I think. And we've got to build a football culture in Australia. We need to get that back. We need people going to games. We need regular time slots. Like if you go into a game at 3 p.m. on a Sunday and it's 35 degrees, you're looking for a shade or a swimming pool somewhere or a beach. Like, it's a difficult time to be at a ground. And you saw in the last couple of weeks, I think the Wanderers played Western United, I think it was last week, and there was no one in the bottom tier of the stands. They're all in the top tier. So we want to get people to the game. We want to build the league. We want to create an atmosphere at these games and get people watching on a regular basis. But, we shoot ourselves in the foot sometimes with the decisions we make. So, if we've got doctors out there and physicians saying it's dangerous and, it's not good for the players to be playing at these times in these sort of conditions, then I think something needs to be done. We need to be looking at it. If it's not working on TV, the ratings aren't showing that having a game at 3 p.m. on a Sunday is better than having it at 7 p.m. or having back-to-back games or games on at the same time. Whatever it is, there's got to be a solution for it, and we need to find one quick, smart.
Surely with entries opening for teams to come into a second-tier competition, we're starting to gain some momentum for Bondi FC. Now, I know 2 big signings could be the Gersbach brothers. I know Max Burgess would be keen, James Meredith, James Donaghy. I reckon we could have the All-Stars team out there. It's perfectly cool. We play the games just by the water. It'll give us that nice sea breeze and a really, really great football club.
Yeah, look, I'm in, mate. As long as it means we can have a drink at Icebergs after the game, I'm there.
I think they're on board as a major sponsor. Our Raw coach Warren Moon's days numbered at Brisbane as his team slumps to another defeat. They've only picked up 1 point from their last 18, a 0-0 draw with City about 7 weeks ago, and it included a 4-0 thumping at the hands of the Jets. They're now sitting 10th, only 2 points above the bottom place at Victory.
Yeah, it's gone from full moon to like a slither, hasn't he? So I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. That they were building so nicely, pre Christmas and leading into the new year. So it's disappointing to see them drop off in form. They've had a few changes. Charlie Austin's left. They've brought in a few players. So I know it takes time to gel, but it's not looking too good for Warren Moon at the moment.
Yeah, look, let's see. Hopefully he can hang in there. But we love to see Aussies doing well, even at my own expense. Harry Suter with a solid game and an assist as Leicester whacked my team, Tottenham 4-1. Connor Metcalf was the hero, scoring the winner as FC St. Pauli won 1-0 to FCK. Probably what they were thinking as he slotted the winner. And Riley McGree grabbing a 90th minute goal as Middlesbrough easily accounted for Cardiff City 3-0.
Kaiserslautern, I think is the FCK. But yeah, look, great to see the Aussies doing well overseas. Riley McGree scoring, Harry Suter having Harry Kane in his pocket, and like you said, Connor Metcalf with the winner as well.
Stop grinning. On the topic of our national sides, the Matildas are back home as they ramp up preparations for the World Cup. The Cup of Nations kicks off on Thursday. Our ladies will play 3 games in 7 days against the Czech Republic, Spain and Jamaica. All players battling to secure a place in the team.
Yeah, big test for them. Spain's going to be a massive test. They're a great side. They're probably one of the favourites to actually win the World Cup. So big test for the girls, and they've all got to stake their claim for a spot in the final squad.
And PL news quickly, Arsenal starting to get the wobbles, sharing a point with Brentford. The Bees' goal was controversial, but after now losing to Everton, are they starting to come back to the rest of the pack? Marcus Rashford's sensational form continues with his 12th goal of the campaign, putting them in a strong position to challenge for a top 2 finish. Desperate Southampton sacked coach Nathan Jones with the club 4 points away, with the club 4 points away from safety. And some Man United and Leeds fans need to have a good hard look at themselves after vulgar chants relating to previous tragic events that have affected both clubs.
Oh yeah, look, the fans. Oh, God, I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, it's just borderline stupidity and not needed in the game. Arsenal, yeah, maybe they do have the wobbles a little bit. Another draw, dropped another 2 points. Look, it's going to be hard to chase them down, but the form United are in. I think City have got a game in hand as well.
City have got Arsenal this week, so
that's a huge. That's a 6 point.
It is. It's massive.
Yeah, that's a 6 point game. So anything can happen there, and it might open the title race back up again, and there could be 3 teams going for it or 2 teams. So I'm looking forward to that game this weekend. That's a huge game in deciding the Premier League title this year.
Real Madrid defeat a brave Al Hilal 5-3 to claim another Club World Cup. Fuct or Fiction returns after a long stint on the sidelines, but we've added a cool twist, and this will test our VIG stats man, the human football encyclopedia. I'm coming up with any games I can to try and rule your undisputed reign of supremacy.
Yeah, I hope I'm not fucked.
I hope you are fucked. We wrap up match day 14 of the A-League women's competition. Revolutionised Round-Up of the men's weekend fixtures. And is there anything I didn't see? VIG.
Well, look, I was going to mention Harry Suter and Leicester getting the win over your boys Spurs. I'm not sure if you watched it. You might have turned it off after at half time or something. But yeah, that was my mention that you might, or you may have not watched it and seen the score and not watched the highlights. I don't know, but yeah, huge win for Leicester, and great to see Harry Suter doing well, and Brendan Rodgers was singing his praises after the game as well. So lovely to see.
Mate, I'm a good winner and a good loser, unfortunately, as well as City did on the weekend, as well as their Manchester neighbours, Man United. Arsenal fell over, Newcastle fell over. I think Brighton fall over. They dropped points as well. So the other teams around us also did us a favour and kept us still in the hunt. So while we could have capitalised, we didn't. But we're probably in the same position as we were before the start of the weekend. Moving into our A-League women's wrap. So a quick snapshot of the weekend's games. So first season success story, Western United make it a derby double delight against City with an 86th minute Sydney Cummings penalty, giving her team a tough win and a 5-point lead over a 5-point lead at the top of the table. Raw hosted the victory and were able to quickly equalise after Melbourne star Alex Chidiak's opening goal from the spot, but the game ended in a draw as neither team was able to break the deadlock. Canberra United backed up last week's solid win with a 2-1 victory at home against the high-flying Sydney. The result continues to restore their self-belief and temporarily halts the Sky Blues' push to catch the leaders. I'm glad we didn't mock them. They're starting to find the form that we were talking about 3 weeks ago. A first half Sophie Harding header was enough to hand the Wanderers their 4th home win of the season and leaving the much-improved Wellington Phoenix to return home with nothing. And the final game at Macedonia Park, Perth crushes the Jets 4-0 to indicate that a change in coach is not all that Newcastle needs. Glory striker Sarah Mackenzie Hinson with a brace and with games in hand, a chance to close in on a final spot.
Yeah, some interesting results. Like you said, Perth, I think, have got 2 games in hand. They've only played 11. So, two wins, and that puts them back in the hunt almost in line with Melbourne Victory, who are in 4th spot. So, lots to play for them. Canberra United got a nice victory after, we put the mocker on them the last couple of weeks. So, good to see them back in the winner's circle. And, Western United, top of the league by, they got a 5-point lead at the top of the league. So, doing really well. But I think a couple of the female players, a few that are contracted in the NWSL in America, I think a few of them are flying back over this week. So, disappointing to see that we lose those players and they head back overseas to the States. But they've been great. I think Alex Chidiak for Melbourne Victory has been tremendous, and she's been one of the standout players of the league so far.
Yeah, look, the next few weeks should really start to shape the table with the season coming to a close. Quick, like I said, look at the A-League women's table. So Western United, as you said, are on 30. Melbourne City are on 25. Sydney FC a further 1 point back on 24, but they've got some games in the bag. Melbourne Victory on 22. and then Canberra United in 5th on 17 and Brisbane Roar on 16. So, plenty to play for in the coming weeks. My weekly wrap has been replaced by a shout-out dedicating a weekly song to a team or a player for their good or bad performance. This week's shout-out goes to MacArthur Bulls Polish keeper Philip Curto for his match-winning performance against his former club, the Wellington Phoenix. He saved 2 penalties in the game. He had only saved one of the previous 25 taken against him. So the form guides show that he shouldn't, but he's a talented keeper. It hasn't been the easiest of seasons. Only Western United have conceded more goals and they've changed their coaches. So hopefully this is a start of good things to come. And the song we'll send to you is Oasis's classic track, Wonderwall.
Wanna be the one that saves me. And after all, you're my wonderwall.
And I guess the Bulls fans are singing, "You're going to be the one that saves me." So fantastic effort from him. Excellent performance. And like I said, gave him the 3 points, a much needed 3 points against one of his 2 former clubs. And absolute standout. And congratulations and enjoy the song.
Well, I thought you were waiting for me to sing a few lines there. What's going on?
And I thought that you definitely know this one. Most people, if you don't know this, I don't know what rock you've been hiding under if you don't know Wonderwall. But like or dislike the Gallagher brothers, this is a fantastic classic track and definitely well deserved by Philip Curto.
Definitely is. I'm a United fan, so I'm not allowed to sing it at all.
Okay. A-League men's table, let's have a look. Melbourne City on 34 with an extra game in hand. Central Coast in second on 26. Also on 26 and third is Adelaide United. 2 points further back, the Wanderers on 24, Sydney FC on 23, and Wellington Phoenix rounding out the top 6 with 21. Good wins for the Mariners. Adelaide and Sydney FC helped them to move up the table. The Wanderers slip back, and 3 points for the Jets and Bulls puts pressure on the 6th place Phoenix, who is only ahead on goal difference. So let's get into our Revolutionised Round-Up. We select a match of a day each, as well as a mini review for the other remaining 4 games. For the listeners, you know the drill. We give the score for the match of the day, the goal scorers, the players of the game, the turning point, and what we would have changed, Coach Gio or VIG. The opening game of the round was Friday night's game between the Brisbane Roar and the Central Coast Mariners. The final score was 2-1 to the away team, the Central Coast Mariners. Central Coast with an important away win, their 3rd of the campaign, taking them back into 2nd spot. Both sides were gifted and converted pretty soft penalties, so it was Marco Tullio's goal that separated the teams.
Yeah, look, Brisbane at home, they've been disappointing the last couple of weeks. We've spoken about it. They just there's no substance to their before the break they had a solid structure. All the players looked like they knew what they were doing. They had a solid game plan, but that's just dropped away in the last couple of weeks. I don't know if they've changed their style of play. They've brought in some new players. Taken a bit of time for them to adapt, but they just haven't looked as solid as before, and it's hard to break down. So a little bit disappointing, but good to see Central Coast back in the winner's circle.
Yeah, look, I think for the Raw, it's really, really difficult when you've got a marquee, a star, one of the 2 biggest stars that came into the league this year, and you lose him. He just, because of family reasons or whatever, he heads home, and then what's your plan B? So I think it's been really difficult. I think on a limited budget with limited resources, he's done a good job. I know being that low down the table, it's not great, but you don't look at him like when Sydney was struggling or some of these other clubs that have got a lot of firepower and a lot of money behind them. So look, I think you could possibly put it down to just a really, really unfortunate season and probably give him another chance next year. But, the powers that be will make that decision. The first of the Saturday games was Western United versus Adelaide United. How'd you see this one, BIG?
Yeah, look, lots of talking points in this one. Final score was 3-2 to Adelaide United. Western United they got out of the blocks early. They went 2-0 up with goals either side of the break to Bodic and Prijovic. Bodic with his first goal in the A-League. But as we know, 2-0 is the most dangerous score in football. So you go 2-0 up. I don't know what it is. Every time you go 2-0 up, you take your foot off the accelerator. Your head goes a bit funny. You start to relax a bit. You think everything's okay, and then bang, the game can change in a split second, and that's what happened. Iran Kunda came on. He was subbed on, and he could easily have been sent off for a challenge on James Charisi after already picking up a yellow card for a challenge on Connor O'Toole. So we saw after the game, the United players, Aloisi, he was furious about that decision that Irankunda didn't get sent off. And then he plays a key part in getting Adelaide back into the game. They get it back to 2-2, and then they get a contentious penalty. For me, I thought it was pretty soft. The players running away from goal. But, we've seen them given time and time again as well. So Goodwin steps up to convert, and it's game over from there. So, for Western United, disappointing after going 2-0 up at home. It's just a bad result for them, I think.
Yeah, look, I don't know. Irakunda stays on, stays off, and that could have changed the game. As you said, they were trailing 3-1 at the time, and a second yellow would leave them with him in the showers and Adelaide down to 10 men. At the end of the day, though, good decisions, bad decisions. You've got to play the whistle right. You're still up 3-1. You should still be able to, be able to shut a game out, especially with the experience. Like we say, okay, they have an older squad with the experience. You should at least know how to shut a game down. They didn't do this. So I understand Aloisi's disappointed and upset and annoyed, but unfortunately for him, that's the way it went. So Adelaide fight back and take all 3 points. Moving into the second of the Saturday games, it was a fierce Sydney derby between Western Sydney Wanderers and Sydney FC. Can't wait to hear what you thought about this one.
Ooh, what a game! What a game! Unfortunately, I didn't get to watch it live, so I had to watch it back on Sunday morning. I was playing myself on Saturday night, so
this is not a surprise, though, because you actually backed against your team this week. So you actually said you liked the Wanderers against your team. So I was actually shocked. So I'm not surprised you didn't watch the game live.
I did a bit of reverse psychology, I think. So
Okay.
Yeah. No, look. Both teams, they really went at it. Final score was 1-0 to Sydney. Goal scorer was Max Burgess. He was my player of the match. Absolute banger of a goal. We know he's capable of doing this. We've been talking about this for, I feel like, the last 2-3 years, since he was at Wellington, and then he went to Western United, and he's come to Sydney. He's shown patches and glimpses of what he can do. My challenge for him now is he needs to do that on a consistent basis, week in, week out. We were saying at the start of the year that he needs to be starting and playing each week, because he's a magician on the ball. He's got pillows for feet. He's lovely to watch, and he can score goals as well when put in goal scoring situations. So, and he can create as well.
He was off balance, right? You see that basically he takes 3 or 4 steps to his left after he struck the ball, and he basically has to take a little bit of time to land. So he's off balance. So for him to strike a ball like that off balance, just goes to show his technique is flawless. It's fantastic.
Yeah, look, he grew up playing football in Spain, so we know technically he's a very gifted player, and he can do things like that. But he's so comfortable. He's a player that's so comfortable with the ball at his feet. And he loves receiving the ball in tight situations. He loves dancing around players. He did it in the NPL here for years. So great to see him, playing well. But like I said, my challenge for him is to do that on a consistent basis, be the match winner on a consistent basis. And for me, there's no reason why he can't go overseas. And there's no reason why he can't play for the Socceroos. That's my personal opinion. I think he's that good a player, and he's that talented, but he just needs to, one, believe it himself, and also just do it week in, week out on a consistent basis.
I know there's people that complain and say that we don't need these friendlies like when Sydney played against Celtic and so on, but that's where he got his chance this season, when he played in that game, because there was players unavailable, players that didn't play or didn't want to play or weren't ready to play or whatever. And he went out there, scored a goal, looked $1 million, and he hasn't looked back since. So there is obviously a reason why they have these games, besides, getting to see some of your favourite players from these overseas clubs, but it also gives an opportunity to unlock some of our best talent.
Yeah, 100%. And he took his chance, and he probably gained a bit of confidence from that match as well. And he's carried that into the second half of the season. So great to see. The turning point for me in the match, turning point was the Marcelo injury. 21 minutes into the game, you lose your captain, your enforcer at the back. You're already 1-0 down, and from then, it's a big mountain to climb for the Wanderers. And I think it was Beedling who came on. I thought he did a great job as well, and they continued to play football, the Wanderers, even when Nkabodo got sent off as well. They still continued to play football, and they challenged Sydney FC. They had Sydney FC on the ropes there for a little bit. But yeah, to lose your captain, he's played in these big derbies overseas. He's played in big leagues, big matches, to lose a figure like that and a presence like that in the defence, a leader. I thought that was a crucial point in the game, so early in the game as well.
It looked definitely very difficult to not only lose your leader, but also someone that will basically set an example and lead from the front. So look, tough night in the office for them losing him, but sometimes this happens in games. You got to just find a way around it. What would you have done, Coach VIG, to get the Wanderers something out of the game?
Yeah, look, I probably would have started Schneiderlin, and maybe pushed the Malfitano to one of the wings. He's a player that's played in big derbies around the world. He has that experience. He's an enforcer in midfield. And then to compound that, obviously, when Marcelo comes off, you lose a presence. So maybe even if you don't start him, maybe you sub him on at half time or put him on a bit earlier once you had that injury at the back as well. So for me, I would have started him. And it means, unfortunately, I think Carluccio started. Maybe one of the younger boys misses out, but I think in a derby, you want players. I don't know how fit he is, but I think in a derby, you want players who have played in big games and have that experience.
I think, mate, you're 100% spot on. That's what I would have done as well. I think that, okay, he's had one sort of, cameo off the bench under his belt. He may not be 100% fit, but if he got into the game with his experience, he could have paced himself. And then if you have to pull him off after 60 or 70 minutes, hopefully job's done. I think also you've started Ninkovic on the bench too, which is another guy with great experience. So you've gone with young guys. I wouldn't risk that in a derby. Give him some game time in just a normal game against the Jets or Western United, but I wouldn't be starting him in a derby where everyone was pumped up, after the first game where the Wanderers got bragging rights. I think there was a lot on the line here, with everything, the derby, with, a history between Koreka and Rudon and Sydney starting to find a bit of form and Wanderers wanting to prove that they are the real deal this year. There was so much to risk. And so to not put in a big name player or a big experienced players, probably backfired for them. But a couple of quick questions for you. Did the better team on the night lose the game?
Oh, that's a tough question.
Yes or no? Real simple answer.
I actually thought the Wanderers were probably the better team when they went down to 10 men. I thought Sydney in the first half, controlled the game, and then they had their chances as well. So, look, that's a tough question. Look, I think the Wanderers were good, but I still think Sydney deserved to win the game. So I'll say no.
Okay. Sydney was just more clinical in my eyes. We mentioned Wanderers needed a weapon up top in the window before it slammed shut. Is that all that they were missing, in your opinion, on Saturday night?
Yeah, potentially. I think, look, the injury to Marcelo was huge. I think that was a massive turning point in the game.
Do they have a coach? Do they have a guy that just knows whether he's in good form, bad form, whether the team's going well? Do they have a guy that just has a nose for goal and just seems to find the back of the net on a regular basis? Answer for me, no.
No, they don't. They don't. That's plain and simple. They don't. They don't have a player that's going to score 10, 15, 20 goals a season. So, I think
look at Perth. You've got David Williams scoring every week. You've got the likes of Alecki. You've got the likes of McLaren. You've got the likes of, Prijovic when he's 100%. You've got, guys like that who are scoring on a regular basis. They don't have one of those guys. They've got good players. Brandon Bandello looked really good the other day. But is he a guy that's going to get you 25 for the year or 20 or 15? No, he's not.
Yeah, no, he's not an out-and-out striker. And I think the Wanderers, I can't remember the last time the Wanderers actually had a striker that's 15, 20 goal a season striker. So they've been missing that for a long time now. So it's something they need to go out and they need to actively recruit, and they need to bring in players that can do that job.
Okay, moving on to the last of the Saturday games. It was the Perth Glory versus Melbourne City. The final score here was 4-2 to the away team and the front runners of the men's A-League, Melbourne City. The goals were Jordan Boss in the 16th minute with a fantastic strike. Clisby equaling the game up in the 25th minute. Bellon Barisha from the penalty spot in the 62nd, giving City the league. Then 10 men, Perth equalising through David Williams in the 71st. Matthew Leckie continuing his stellar goal-scoring season, scoring in the 76th to give them a 3-2 lead. And then Florin Berengay getting another goal in the 92nd minute to give them their 4-2 win. For me, the player of the match was the 90 minutes of pure excellence from Socceroos City midfielder Matt Leckie, the stunning scissor kick and the assist for Berengay, plus many more raids he initiated against the Glory. He was fantastic. And when he came back to the league, we weren't sure what we'd get from him. We knew that he'd done great things overseas and how well he'd done for the Socceroos, but I've seen plenty of star players come back and they don't hit the ground running or, shine as bright as they have overseas because of maybe the quality of player around them, or I don't know how full on it is or professional or whatever. But Matt Leckie's someone who's swimming against the grain there because he's been absolutely sensational for a sensational team. So he was my man of the match. The turning point for me was obviously the red card in the 60th minute with the game tied at 1-1, Latchman's dismissal, reducing the home team to 10 men. And it also allowed City to take the lead from the resulting spot kick. And I think that ruined any chance Perth had of keeping their unbelievably undefeated record at Macedonia Stadium. And for me, what would I have done? What would Coach Gio have done to try and get something out of the game for Perth Glory? I don't think you could have asked much more of Zakovic's troops. They were gutsy in defeat and they grow an extra leg when playing in front of their fans at home. They even equalised with 10 men, but the punch from Cook, which allowed Leckie's acrobatics to steal the lead back, should have been cleared. And then the fourth goal was just they were pushing for another goal and ran out of gas. So I think at 2-2, after they got that massive lift from in-form David Williams scoring a great header after a fantastic ball being whipped in, I think that's where they could have basically gone at City here and stolen something, but that punch just wasn't good enough. He's come out in a crowded group of players. He didn't get full fists on it. He's only punched the ball a few meters, and then most players there may have tried to do something stupid, bring it down or volleyed or something, and Leckie's done this fantastic scissor kick, which has given him the lead. But I just think the keeper, who's been doing well this year, should have done better. So for me, I couldn't have asked the boys to do any more if I was the coach of Glory. I've been very proud of them, but a mistake from a goalkeeper was what cost them potentially taking a point or even more out of the game.
Yeah, look, and it's a game of fine margins sometimes, and sometimes little mistakes like that, or there's little moments in the game, and when you're playing against a quality opposition, they're going to pounce on that and they're going to punish you. So I think, like you said, I think Perth did everything they could to try to stay in the game and try and win the game. But I think they just got outclassed in the end by a City side who we've been talking about this City side for the last couple of years now. It's probably one of the best we've seen in this league ever. So, they're week in, week out. They're so difficult to beat. They've got goal scorers from pretty much every angle, left side, right side, up top. You got left back scoring absolute worldies. Great goal from Boss. So they're just a threat from almost every position on the field, and they're so hard to defend against. And I think the Glory players will take a lot out of this. I think they'll learn a lot from playing in a match like this. But at the end of the day, City were just too good.
Yeah, you have a look at the score sheet, right? They've scored 4 goals. No McLaren. You've got, last week's Dutch hat-trick hero. He's not on the score sheet. No Tilio. And none of these guys are even scoring and still get 4 goals. So it goes to show that they are a very scary proposition. And, Barisha with his first A-League goal and young Boz chipping in. Berengay's starting to get back to full fitness. So he's going to feature a lot in their push for double silverware this year. So, very scary signs from Melbourne City. Moving into the first of the 2 Sunday games, it was the Newcastle Jets versus Melbourne Victory. What happened here?
I've got a question for you. What is going on at Victory? That's my question. Can you tell me? Have you got an inside scoop? What's going on?
Oh, look, I don't know what's going on at Victory, but Jack Duncan was fantastic between the sticks, but his challenge on Kamau was a penalty, right? So I don't know if that makes it 2-2. I don't know if that makes it. They said it was offside. Then when you watch it back, there was no way in the world, even if you gave him a half a meter of generous half a meter there to say, hey, if he's within a half a meter, we'll give him offside. He wasn't offside. Keeper punches him, knocks him down. It's a penalty, and so I don't know if that makes it 2-2. I don't know if that makes they go on and win the game. But look, they're not any luck at the moment. And for the Jets, they're able to get the job done even after losing informed star midfielder Rene Piscopo in the warm-up. His late replacement, Costa Kronos, grabbing the winner in the 58th minute. So even losing a star like that, the guy that comes back and haunts the Victory is a guy who wasn't even supposed to start. So I don't think there's much hope at the moment for Victory.
Yeah, look, I was devastated when I saw in the pre-game. I think Big Royo broke the news in the pre-game that Piscopo had picked up an injury in the warm-up. So to see Costa Grozos come on and start the match, and he was the match winner in the end after Velupale had got it back to 1-1. Mikkel Tadze with a penalty to make it 1-0. Velupale 1-1, and then Grozos with a match winner in a really nicely taken set piece where they've sort of cut the ball to him on the edge of the box, and he's turned and shot. So lovely finish for the winner. But I don't know where to for the victory from here. They're sitting at the bottom of the league. They've just announced the signing of a 22-year-old Paraguayan forward, Fernando Romero, who arrives on loan from Cerro Porteño from the Paraguayan top flight. So from what I've seen, the footage of him, he looks like a player. So hopefully he can come in and hit the ground running and give him a little bit of an extra dimension up top. Because I just don't think it's really working that well at the moment with Fornaroli and the way they play, especially with the two young wingers on the side, Fulami and Velupale. They like to run and get in behind, but Fornaroli just isn't doing it for me up top at the moment. So hopefully this young Paraguayan, will come in and hit the ground running.
Popper doesn't normally get many things wrong. Normally everything he touches is the Midas touch. It's a golden touch. But at the moment, everything he touches turns to stone. Look at the once, unstoppable, hey, Fornaroli. He had an open goal on the weekend, got his feet tangled like he was in the three-legged race, tripped over and missed the ball. It was a tap-in. It was the biggest sitter of all time. That's probably the miss of the season. And he missed that, and everything else seems to go there against them. They've lost Nani. They've lost this guy. This guy's out. They can't find this guy. This guy's not playing well. Everything seems to be going wrong. They lost their number one keeper, Izzo. I haven't seen him now for weeks since we've interviewed him. I don't know if we gave him the kiss of death, but he hasn't been on the pitch either. So nothing seems to be going right. It still doesn't change my opinion that Popper is the right man for the victory to get them back into the winner's circle on a regular basis and get them pushing for silverware. And I still think he's a fantastic coach, but at the moment he's just got some voodoo against him and things aren't going his way. But just before we move on,
no, I think Izzo dropped a few drachmas. He's gone back to Greece to pick him up. So,
what's your thoughts on a player, whether it be Piscopo or anybody else, going into a warm up and doing full on shooting? Is this something that you've done enough warm up in the training pitch and you've done enough warm up the week before when you played shooting goals? Do you not wait until you're warm in the game before you start shooting? Or is this just bad luck? He's gone out there and, it's just one of those things that was waiting to go. Because for me, I don't know. Do you need to, especially as a midfielder, do you need to start smashing balls at the goals? Can't you just get one of the support staff or the coaching staff to throw balls at him or kick balls at him? Because who cares if they break down?
Yeah, look, I don't know. I don't know what his situation was leading into the game, if he was under a bit of an injury cloud and then the warm-up sort of just tipped it off. But I think most teams now, when you're warming up, your left and right back or your wingers are getting crosses in, your strikers are shooting at goal, and your defenders or your centre backs are knocking long balls to each other. So I think personally, as a defender, I need to knock a few long balls before I play. And I know, as a striker, strikers love to have a few shots on goal before they play, just to either get a few cobwebs out or, get the confidence up a bit. So, I've got no issue with it. I think it's pretty standard protocol that, players warm up like this. So, I just don't know what his fitness was like going into the match, if he was under an injury cloud and if it was something that was, on the verge of tipping. And he making it worse, and he obviously did in the warm up. So never a nice thing to happen, especially when you've planned all week to have this player in your team, and it takes a bit of the sting out of the team. So especially Piscopo, he's been on fire the last couple of weeks as well.
Interesting to see when he does return from injury, whether it's this week or in a few weeks' time, what they make him do in the warm up. Right, I think they're going to wrap him in cotton wool. I think he'll be standing over, polishing the corner flag.
He'll be playing hopscotch in the corner somewhere, I think.
And the last game of the round was the second Sunday game. MacArthur Bulls hosting the Wellington Phoenix. The final score was 2-1 to MacArthur Bulls. In a very even game, Philip Curto's heroics have a difference, saving 2 penalties with the match hanging in the balance at 1-1. Crazy scenes as Ollie Sale also made it 3 stops from the spot in the game. Goals from former Phoenix star Davia, as well as Najjar, gave Mile Sajowski his first win as coach. And another positive sign for MacArthur Bulls was that they were down 1-0 early on. I think it was the 3rd minute that Krayev scored, and they were able to fight back and overturn that. So a very morale boosting win for the Bulls.
Yeah, 100%. To come back after conceding early and after being spanked last week, you cop a goal in the first 5 minutes, and Who knows what could have happened in that game? But like you said, Curto with 2 penalty saves probably saves the day in the end and he gets the 3 points for his side. And I think Mile Stojovski will be pleased that they came back from a 1-0 deficit and got the win. But I still think they've got a lot of work to do out there at MacArthur.
What was so unbelievable about it too was the first one was to his left, the second one to his right, and they were both fantastic saves. And coming from a very good goalkeeper, though, who's only saved one of his past 25, you're thinking this guy's no chance of saving one, let alone two. And he's pulled off 2 saves. So you just never know, right? A change of coach, a change of mindset, a change of maybe, I don't know, coaching. And all of a sudden now you're the best penalty saver in the whole world. So I don't think I've seen 3 penalty saves in a game unless it's a penalty shootout. So this is one for the archives. But that's the end of our Revolutionised Roundup. Up after the break, as we said, we welcome back our Fuct or Fiction, where I'm going to put you to the test, VIG. So we'll catch you after the break.
You're listening to the Football Revolution.
Welcome back to the show. As we said previously, we've played this in the past. We talk about funny footballer stories and decide if they're actually fucked or fiction. We've also provided a few theories as well to try and come up with a conclusion, which very rarely we did, but it was still a lot of fun, and I think the listeners enjoyed us trying. Now we've put a new 2023 spin on it, and I'm hoping to confuse VIG by putting him in a spin. Are you a bit nervous?
I'm ready for it. I'm a bit nervous. Yeah.
Look, I'll tell you the rules, and I am going to try and help you as much as I want to sabotage you. I'll tell you 3 stories, and you need to decide if they're true or false, or fucked or fiction. Be careful of the details, as it could be a fact that is false, the complete story, or it could just be one of the facts that is false, or it could be a true story. So you've got to make sure that it is a complete story, completely true, all the facts in it are correct. If not, you just simply need to say false. And if you believe that everything I'm telling you is true and I wouldn't lie to you, then it's true. So fucked or fiction? You ready to roll?
All I need to do is I just need to answer fucked or fiction.
That's all you need to do. You just need to get out of these 3. You just need to get 2 or more. From previous form and how good you are, I'd say that there's a strong chance that the odds they're taking the odds that you'll get 3 from 3. But I'm hoping here that I can throw you a few curveballs. You can score a few own goals, and I can finally get a victory over you.
Clear as mud, mate. Clear as mud.
All right. Okay, so a brewery's offer of a lifetime supply of free beer to the first German player to score in the Euro 2008 tournament. Is it true, or is it false, or is it fucked, or is it fiction?
So go take me back through that. A brewery
offered a lifetime supply of free beer to the first German player to score in the Euro 2008. So 2008.
2008. So Euro 2008 tournament. So Germany made the final that year. No, semi-final. No, final against Spain.
Okay. Do you know who hosted it? Do you know where the World Cup, where the Euros was held?
Oh God, you're testing me now.
That's good. I'm loving this. This is actually great. Okay.
No.
Keep drowning.
2008. Was it the Ukraine?
No, it wasn't.
All right, it wasn't Ukraine. All right. I'm drowning. Yes, I'm drowning. This sounds very German to me. Like, offering free beer for the first goal scorer at a major football tournament. So I think I'm gonna have to go fucked.
Mate, I'm really sad to tell you this, but the first one is fiction. So it was actually an Austrian player that was offered the beer, and using the beer as an incentive didn't really have the desired result, as they only scored 1 goal, a 93rd minute penalty. So I guess the scorer, Avika Vastik, is still enjoying bevies as a result of his win.
He doesn't care that they didn't progress. He's got lifetime supply of beer, mate. So
every single time now he has anything on, whether he watches the World Cup, he watches, I don't know, the Austrian League, the Bundesliga, whatever he watches, he can just ring his mates up and say, come over. What should we bring? No, nothing. I've got beers just coming out of every crack you can imagine. So he's got, I don't know who the beer company was. That might be a bit of homework for you or I, or maybe if one of the listeners can send us in and say if they can work out who's been supplying Vastik with a lifetime supply of beer. But it's possibly the most rewarding of his 14 international goals. So he scored 14, but this one was the never-ending gift that gave him unlimited beer.
I bet he's got a few more friends now that he scored that goal.
Yeah, he does, and I'm just glad that you didn't actually get that. The hosts of the 2008 tournament was Austria and Switzerland. So I knew if you'd worked that out, I'd be in massive trouble. So I'm super glad that you guessed Ukraine because I thought you'd. It did sound. I chose Germany because I thought it sounded realistic. I
It's
thought it sounded like it would get you caught offside, and it did. Now, tell me, what would they need to bribe you to score VIG? Is there something that they could throw at you to say, hey, whether it be now at your new club, Bankstown United, or when you were back in your playing days in one of the NPL clubs, or even if it was an overseas move, what would they need to throw at you to get you to be able to step up and make sure you did everything you could to score a goal?
pretty much anything. I don't score many goals. I don't score many goals. A lifetime supply of beer would be pretty handy.
Any particular beer? What about Sydney Beer Co? Or what's your beer of choice?
I love a bit of Sydney Beer Co, but I love Asahi's at the moment. So if you threw me a couple cases of Asahi or lifetime supply, I'd be right up there. I think I'll be sniffing in and around the box, trying to get myself on the score sheet, probably out of position. So, yeah, something like that would go well. I don't know, maybe like some sort of food supply. Food's the way to my heart. So I don't know. I can't think off the top of my head exactly what, but any type of lifetime food or beverage supply would get me going, I think.
It's surprising though. Like I said, I've returned from Japan. I never had one Asahi while I was over there. It always seemed to just want to load me up with this highball. So I was mesmerised by the little ball that they have in the middle of the drink spinning around, and I think that was sort of like when they have the watch and they in front of you, you're getting sleepy. I think they just wanted me to keep buying, so I just kept opening my wallet and chucking my money at them. But all right, moving on to the second one. So you need this one to stay alive, otherwise this will be the quickest over and out that you've ever done. So former Italian and Manchester City star Mario Balotelli is often in trouble or in the headlines for the wrong reasons. However, on this occasion, he showed he has a big heart. A young fan asked for an autograph after training, and Super Mario wanted to know why the youngster was not in class when he revealed he was being bullied. So he was avoiding school. That was too much for the striker to hear. He immediately drove the boy and his mother to the school in question to give the bully a red card. Is this true or false? Or is it fucked or fiction?
I feel like I've heard this story before, and I feel like this is something Balotelli would do. Classic Balotelli move. He's always pinned as the bad boy, but in this instance, he's a good guy. So I'm going to go with Fuct.
You would be correct. It is fucked. He demanded to see the headmaster and acted as a mediator with the two boys to resolve their differences. Balotelli feels very strong about bullying and had no hesitation in jumping in to fix the issue. So thankfully, he wasn't asked to put a bib on before entering the school. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been as effective as he was. But all jokes aside, an amazing act of humanity from the possibly misunderstood star.
Yeah, definitely. Look, amazing. He's obviously got that softer side to him, but sometimes he can lose his cool and lose his tempo. We saw he's argued with referees, with players, with coaches, with a training bib as well. So he's been caught up in a lot of mischief, but at the same time he does have that softer side to him.
Who would have thought, though, that a guy like that, who's just always so difficult to get along with, would be the mediator in two boys having a situation where one student is picking on the other student? Like, honestly, it just blows your mind. And like I said, I thought you must have thought this smelled of a little bit of BS because of the fact of how much trouble he's always in and how he's always doing the wrong thing, not the right thing. But goes to show, mate, you're a man with a big heart too, because you knew this was dead set fucked.
I did. It was fucked, and hats off to him for going out of his way to do something like this, because we know bullying in schools it's a prevalent thing, and he probably copped his fair share growing up as well. So him being able to learn from that and take that back to hopefully he's ended the bullying against this young kid, and the kid that was doing it has hopefully learned a lesson as well. So. Great to see, and sometimes we criticize him for not being a role model, but goes to show this time he's had his smarts and his wits about him, and he's done something out of his heart.
And moving into the decider, which I'm hoping you'll get wrong, and I'll end up winning this 2-1 and you'll be fucked. But former West Ham youth player and Chelsea captain, and Chelsea captain's family are lifelong fans of the Hammers. So I'm talking about here John Terry. So his father was really annoyed when he chose to sign with Chelsea and the deal was done. And as a result, the proof is a picture doing the rounds of the former England international celebrating a goal in front of the opposition West Ham fans, which triggered his dad and uncle to return obscene gestures to him, and they were screaming abuse. Is this fucked or is this fiction? So John Terry was a former West Ham youth player. It is no secret that his family are huge Hammer fans. Like I said, the father and the family were annoyed when the deal was done with Chelsea. Is this fucked? Or is this fiction that when he scored against the mighty West Ham, his dad and his uncle were sitting in the away fan section, absolutely giving it to their son and their nephew?
Sounds very English, something that would happen in England. I have seen photos of John Terry, I think, in a West Ham kit. I don't know. I'm feeling you've maybe thrown a bit extra sauce, a bit extra mayo, a bit extra sauce, a bit extra mayo on this one. Yeah, I just can't see the father and uncle of a Premier League footballer sitting in the away section with the Hammers fans watching their son and nephew play. So
locking your answer.
I'm locking in my answer, which is fiction.
And you would be correct. The picture is true. So there was a picture doing the rounds. And at first it was said that they were definitely his family members, but John Terry's come out after quite a bit of period of time and said it's absolutely false. He was being given a lot of stick by the West Ham fans, but they picked out two of the crowd and said that was his father and his uncle, and it definitely wasn't them. But his dad was so furious he signed his first contract with the Blues over Manchester United that he refused to join him on the pitch for the photo. He needed a parent presence, so his mum stepped in, which made his dad even more furious. So there is some truth in the rumor that he's, like I said, his father wasn't happy with what he did. And John Terry, being John Terry, said, I was a massive Blues fan. I had a choice of signing with Manchester United or Arsenal, and I chose to sign with Chelsea, which, he didn't get the opportunity to sign with West Ham, but his father wanted him to be a Hammer. So, yeah, like I said, there is a lot to this story, but was it true that his father and his uncle were in the crowd actually giving it to him in the photo that he's doing the rounds on the internet? It is actually fiction, and that gives you a 2-1 win. And just before I give you your round of applause and a celebration, which team would you refuse to join your son Giannis in a photo op if he signed with him?
Oh, look, if he ever signed for Liverpool, I don't think I could get in a photo with him. I'll throw that out on the record now. But
okay,
if you ever, you can change your wife, your undies, your t-shirt, but you should never change your football team. So, as much as I would be proud that if he ever played in the Premier League for a team like Liverpool, God, it'd be hard to support the team. To support him, yes. To support the team would be immensely difficult.
That could be a collector's edition. If we can get one of those,
throw that back in. Throw that back in. 18 years time, and if you clip that up, we'll see what happens.
It'll be in the front page of every English newspaper over there, so they can thank me for that. But that's the end of our Fuct or Fiction. As per usual, you've passed with flying colours with a 2-1 win, but don't worry, I'm not giving up yet. I'm going to keep trying in the coming weeks to not only catch you out on our new version of our Fuct or Fiction, but I'm also going to throw a few maybe on the balls or a few others at you when we don't have a guest. Moving into the final section of our show, which is our clinical finish. So the first part of this is our What the Foot. Thankfully, this week, it wasn't me. Instead, It was Wanderers duo Marco Rudin and Brandon Borello. Yes, okay, your team played very well, so much better than the previous seasons, and I applaud you. And if it was a prize fight, you probably would have won on points. But what absolutely has confused me is I totally understand you were shattered by the loss based on your performance, but mocking the winning team style, Marco Rudin, you mentioned that the disallowed goal and the send-off, which he said he hadn't actually seen either. And then he was actually annoyed the fourth official had told him a porky pie about the reviews. So it had nothing to do with the decision. It was just that they told him that they were looking to see something else, or they didn't mention that they were looking to see if it was a red card to one of his players. So he was actually cranky about something that wasn't actually relevant, because what, the fourth official gets it wrong. That's why there's a ref. That's why there's a fourth official. That's why there's a VAR. So I just don't understand why he came out and started giving it to Sydney, saying they don't play the style they said. You lost. It was sour. It was a game that your team probably deserved something out of, but you didn't. And then to top it off, Borrello bagging Sydney in his post-match, saying they didn't deserve anything from the game. Mate, you might have meant that, but you don't have to go and say it. You could have just been a gracious loser. And I'm not holding it against you, but I just think that if someone had given you some advice, they would have said, go out with a smile on your face and say, I deserve something out of the game. Don't bag the opposition. That's not classy or stylish. That's something that the politicians do, right? Not gracious footballers. So yeah, for me, my what the foot goes to Rudan and Borrello for coming out and just being a little bit too honest. And the honest truth is, you were shattered that you lost the game, but your excuses were rubbish. They didn't come up with anything, and your excuses and what you were trying to explain was nowhere near as good as your performance. So unfortunately, you just go back to the drawing board. It was just a bad day in the office for you guys, based on the fact that you put in so much and got nothing out of it. But you lost your captain, a stunning goal, sunk your ship. But you know what? You'll bounce back, and then this leads into an even bigger and a huger game in March when they meet again for round 3 of the Sydney Derby.
Yeah, round 3 is looking pretty juicy, but I think Rudan it seemed to be that he stepped in some dog shit in his white shoes and was saying just saying to Corica, mate, how do you keep your shoes so bloody clean? Like, what's going on? They were going back and forth, but yeah, it leaves a little bit of a bitter taste, after such a good football match. And like you said, sometimes you need to be just gracious in defeat. I understand Borrello being frustrated at the way Sydney played, and Western Sydney not getting something out of the game. But you go 1-0 up in a derby, and sometimes you're on the back foot and you have to defend and you have to scrap and do anything you can to try and win a game. That's what happens in football. And sometimes when you score a goal, your game plan it wavers a bit, and it's hard to keep that momentum. And obviously Western Sydney kept coming at him even with 10 men. I thought they were brilliant. Yes, they were good, but at the end of the day, the scoreline was 1-0 and Sydney won the football match. So like you said, be a little bit gracious. And yeah, but I can understand in the heat of the moment in a derby, the frustration and the boil over.
Yeah, look, I expected that, okay, he was cranky on the pitch, and when he got off it, I thought things would settle down a bit. He would have thought about it. He would have maybe looked at those 2 incidents and then come in and been a bit cooler. But I knew he was still cooking when he said the comment about when they asked him what you said to Steve Corica, and he said, I told him, remember 3-4 years ago when I beat you 3-0 when I was coach of Wellington Phoenix, remember what it was like, how you weren't great. And it's like, why are you bringing up a game 3 or 4 years ago and then telling us that you won 3-0? Like, I don't understand this. So anyway, I just knew he was cooking with gas.
Look, he was cooking more than Chef Gannon and Manu.
Mate, he's done a fantastic job at the Wanderers this year, and I still reckon, like I said, they are in for a very good season. Whether they get silverware, that's still to be decided and unknown. But they definitely needed a striker. If they had that, I would have almost backed my house and car on them. But without that, they're still in the mix. But yeah, he takes out with Brandon Borrello our what the foot this week. Games to watch. Glory hoping to bounce back at home against the second place Mariners. MacArthur welcome the Jets. Both teams are on 21 points and sitting on the edge of the top 6, so a lot at stake. And third meets fourth when Adelaide tackled the Wanderers at Highmarsh, not to mention another Melbourne derby is Victory entertain City. So plenty of massive fixtures coming up this week, and a lot of games that could determine the makeup of the top 6 when the season hits the end of the season.
Yeah, who would have thought after, 15, 16 games, we're going into a Melbourne derby with City top of the league and Victory bottom of the league. So it's, crazy circumstances. Let's just hope the crowd behaves itself. We see, a spectacle, and like I said, Victory need to win this game. They can't, lose again and be sitting, anchored at the bottom of the league. For one of the biggest clubs in the country, for me, it's unacceptable, and it shouldn't be happening. So huge game for them. I think Perth Central Coast is a real interesting game as well. Another home game for Perth. Central Coast finding trying to get their form back, but they've got to travel over to Perth, so that's a difficult task for them. And
too, so that it starts to pile up these frequent flyer points.
Yeah, definitely. And then the Sunday game is Adelaide and Western Sydney, and I think that's another 3 p.m. kickoff. So let's let's hope the weather gods are kind to us and we see a spectacle down there at Highmarsh Stadium.
Another 6-point game there too, right? So you've got a team that's in third against a team in fourth. And so very, very important 3 points up for grabs. TFR fantasy update. So round 16, my total was 57 points, taking my grand total to 1249. What was your score for the round, VIG?
I just pipped you, so 62 points, taking my total to 1,226. So
back to back.
I'm creeping slightly, but yeah, we'll see. Obviously, Piscopo, I had him in my team, so losing him before kickoff was a huge blow, and I left Lawrence Thomas in the team instead of Andrew Redmayne, and Redmayne picked up 13 points. So could have been a little bit different, but you live and you learn, and we move on to this weekend.
You're 23 points, which is my playing number and my magic number behind me. So hopefully he stays at that and worse. But I, like you, lost Piscopo, so I was very disappointed when I heard our mate Royo say that he was out. Points were very hard to come by this week, but I did make a few changes. I brought in Burgess to replace Kraev. Both players scoring. One's was a lot more important. Obviously, Burgess is for Sydney than Kraev's was in the loss against MacArthur. And the Sydney Derby winner gave me 16 points. Neuenhoff replaced Malfitino, neither banking many points, and Zawada scored a solid 10, and no one else really setting the world on fire. If you missed any part of the show or want to listen to our other episodes, where can they catch it?
Yeah, they can catch us on all good podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, also video up on YouTube, and you can also catch the audio on Football Nation Radio.
We've got some big news next week. We've got a really, really special guest, which I can't say too much more about, but it'll be unveiled on Monday this time next week. Plenty of football to keep us entertained this week. Go out to support the Matildas in Newcastle, the Central Coast and Parramatta. Gents, please, please, please don't forget Valentine's Day tomorrow. You will pay for it. You'll pay for the whole year if you do not remember it. I always ask the guests, what do you like with anniversaries and special events, and they all tell me they're rubbish. So this is a message not only to them, but to remind myself and you, VIG, make sure you get some flowers, make sure you get a card, and make sure you do everything you need to do to put yourself in the good books for at least a week or two. We hope you enjoyed the show even half as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you, and we look forward to you joining us again next Tuesday. Until then, have a great week. Enjoy the Matildas, enjoy the games, enjoy Valentine's Day tomorrow. And until then, as we say, rise up and join the football revolution. We'll catch you then.